MVP after, let me say it right now, Soler.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I got it right. Yeah. He hit that bomb, and it was insane. But Freed, though, Max, he was the dude.
He got his ankle stepped on.
He got stepped on. And by the way, that guy wasn't even didn't even tag the bag.
No.
So why can we replay that?
How did that happen?
That's horrible.
And Freed, in the process of just uncoiling from getting himself stepped on the bag with his other foot.
Yeah. But Freed's response to that was amazing.
It was. And that's what I love about it. His response, and then to go out there and just really shut him down after that. He got himself back together, stepped on his ankle. I would have broke my ankle. I would have been bruised. I would have been like, I'm done. But luckily, it wasn't in his plant. It's the one he comes down after the throw. But some people say that's even more important. But, man, he was lights out. That was pretty cool. Man, they just dominated. But Soler's home run, what was it, a 3-run home run, if I can remember? Man, that was so powerful. He hit it out to the train tracks, man. It was like it was a home run derby type swing. It was. When I saw it, everybody knew. Did you see him? He pointed to the bench saying, "I told you, I got it."
Yeah.
I was like, "Uh-oh."
He spent some time at home plate before he decided to make his excursion around the bases.
Yeah, and then Vandy's own Dansby got in the act, and
Dansby's was a shot, dude.
Yeah, it was.
Boom.
Yeah, so that was it was exciting to watch, but it was not a game. They took the crowd out of the game. It was loud early, and into that bomb by Soler, that shut it all down. It was over. The linchpin, though, for the Astros is whenever Altuve does well, they do well. And he didn't do well. Not well enough, anyway, with the home run. So but congratulations to the Braves fan. The Tomahawk Chop. Boom.
Freddy Freeman had had a home run, too, and a double, and
and everybody's going crazy because he may not be back next year.
Yeah,
it's okay. He's a free agent.
Joe Buck made some people mad. Here's the thing. What's he been there? 11 years?
Long time.
Yeah, and he's got 1,700 hits, an MVP, won a World Series there. I mean, all I thought about this when Joe Buck said that could be his last at bat as an Atlanta Brave.
Which is true.
Which could be because Albert Pujols left the Cardinals in 2011 after they won the World Series. He had
said the same thing.
He had a 3-home run game. I mean, he'd gotten his 2,000 hit that season. I was actually there that night that he got it. And then he left after that season because he got just a stupid amount of money to go somewhere else. And the Cardinals were like, sorry, man. We're going to pay other people. And they paid other people. Now, they haven't won a World Series since, but they paid other people. And the rest is history. But, congrats to all you Braves fans out there. I thought it was cool that Freeman at first catches the ball for the last out.
They finish it out.
The ball, because he's never going to let go.
That was the end of his career.
Man.
That's the lasting memory you'll have of him. Now, they interviewed him. That was awesome. He talked about it was in his back pocket and everything else. He pulls it out. I mean, man, that was pretty cool, though.
Yeah, if I'm him, it's my ball. Nobody's getting it. It got thrown to me. I'm going to keep this thing forever. So there's that. Congratulations. The Braves, I know there's Cub fans here, and the Braves are the home team for Nashville. So there's a bunch of happy people today. Yeah, a bunch of happy people. So congrats. Pecorine is getting his number retired, 35. Not a surprise, but just cool. They announced it on his birthday today. So I think he signed 2 contract extensions on his birthday.
This should be Pecorine Day, his birthday. And his jersey got retired on that day. That should be his day.
Well, we can just make it Pecorine Day, his birthday for eternity, the face of the Predators. And then here's this, Blaine, the thing that everybody waited to be mad about.
Uh-oh.
The college football playoff rankings.
Oh.
People are mad.
Oh, man.
Here's the thing, man. You knew what this was going to look like. You wanted to be mad. If you're mad about this, you're mad because you wanted to be mad. If you're mad about it, you're mad because you wanted to be mad. I'll give you an example.
Well, yeah, tell me, because where are you going with it? Because the only thing that it was outrageous was the Cincinnati deal in my mind, and then they have no chance of heck to move up because they're scheduled.
Right. There's nothing left to make them go up.
They beat Notre Dame, and then that's all you got for us. Sorry, you're out.
Yeah, we put y'all 6th. Just close so you kind of taste it. Just a taste. Just a taste.
Get close. We can say you almost made it.
I'm going to take you to the edge of the promised land. I'm going to let you look in, and then I'm going to turn you around and shove you off the other side of the mountain. So have a good time, Cincinnati.
Man, that's how I feel about a lot of things. I can relate.
My son is 6. He eats this thing of yogurt every morning. He eats the same thing for breakfast every morning of his life. He eats the same little tub of yogurt every day.
Mm-hmm.
About once every 4 or 5 days, he drops it and smears it all over the table. And he'll tell me, Dad, I dropped some of my yogurt today. And I'm like, that's okay, man. I'll clean it up for you.
Uh-huh.
I know he's going to drop some of it at least once a week and smear it all over the table. For a while, that got to me. I'm like, okay, all right. Again, it's a spoon. I mean, you're like a monkey learning how to use tools.
Oh,
it's a spoon. You dip it in the yogurt. You put the yogurt in your mouth. How did we get here for the 7th time this month? Now I don't even get mad anymore. I give him his yogurt. I get a paper towel. I soak it in some water, squeeze out the excess water. I'm like, here you go, buddy, just in case there's an accident today. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get super mad, but it frustrated me. Does it frustrate me more? Because I know what's going to happen. This is everybody with the college football playoffs. They're my son with the tub of yogurt.
Oh, okay.
You know what's going to happen. The group of 5 is going to get screwed. They're always going to put Alabama way up there because they're Alabama and they're going to be in it at the end, and they know that.
Yeah, well, I mean, how do you –
There's people mad about
State
that, though.
Is moving up. I got you, but you can't put them in front of Alabama. I'm sorry. You just can't. I mean, just reputation and everything else. Is this maybe one of the – I guess you're going to say worst Alabama teams in the last 5 years. Yeah, maybe. But it's still Alabama. Yeah. They're still really good.
That's really bad out. They're like the third best team in the country right now.
Yeah, I mean so, but yeah, the Oregon, Ohio State, this Cincinnati. It's man, Wake Forest. They just disrespected all the ACC. Hey man, what can you say, man? And then some people are like, what? Dang, Mississippi State's lost 3 games. How are they ranked? They're in the SEC.
Right. Because they play SEC teams.
Yeah, that's it, man. We know how this show goes.
They're going to have one loss. They're going to be there at the end. It's going to be them and Georgia are going to play. And here's the thing. If they beat Georgia, then them and Georgia are both going to get in.
Yeah.
Then they're both going to get in. And then everybody else is going to be mad. Yeah. Then everybody else is going to be mad about this. Yeah. But
Michigan State still, doesn't they? I don't know their schedule, but they have to play Ohio State, don't they? I know they just beat Michigan, but yeah, they still have to play Ohio State, so that
that'll settle itself.
Mm-hmm. Then Ohio State will move in front of Oregon. Everybody be like at Oregon in outrage because how do they move ahead of them when we beat them head to head in their house, the shoe? So yeah, man, this is enlightening. I can't wait till we have John Brice to ask him like, what are the criteria do you think they use to really make their final decisions? What's some of the 1, 2, or 3 things maybe the committee is actually looking at, or do you like the BCS way? Some people's like, I want to go back the other way. Hey, at the end of the day, I think probably this process is getting the best 4 teams eventually. At the end, this is just the first go round, so don't panic.
Well, yeah, there's another thing about this. Being mad about this, this doesn't mean squat today. It doesn't, because there's so many games that have got to be played, and the first one comes out, everybody loses their expletive every year when this happens. And then you look around and you think, like you just said, Michigan State's going to play Ohio State. And Alabama and Georgia have got to play each other. And, I mean, there's nothing, poor Cincinnati, there's nothing those rascals can do. But it's all going to sort itself out just like it always does. Now, you may not like how it sorts itself out in the end. And if you're Cincinnati, you need to pray that everybody loses 2 games. Because that's your only shot is for you to win all of your games and everybody else to lose 2. That's it. And honestly, maybe that would do it. I don't think if you're the committee, you could look Cincinnati in the face and not make them the 4th seed if you had, a couple of 2-loss teams ahead of them. But I don't think that's going to happen. So if you're
I don't know.
But you need more than that, right? You need Notre Dame to keep winning because that's your only good win. You need SMU to keep winning.
Yeah. I just
SMU kicked to I didn't even get to say my ding dong of the week on Monday. They kicked to the guy from Houston who's got 9 career returns in his career.
Oh.
And he had a walk-off kickoff return. I mean, you're kicking to Billy White Shoes Johnson in his prime back there with the game on the line. And that dude just ran right through him like a hot knife through butter.
We'll say Devin Hester.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Let me thank you, Blaine, for modern.
They would know who that is.
You got your glasses on today. It's a very smart take there by Professor Blaine Bishop. Middays with Lucas is mad at us on Twitter, on Zone TV.
Wow.
Alex Anthopoulos has already said Freeman will retire Braves. Stop with the national media hot takes. Y'all are the most respected team in Nashville sports. You're better than that. Dang, dude. That was you just accosted us.
That's not me.
All we're saying is this. I mean,
He will be a
He's
free
going to
agent.
get all kinds of money offered to him, and he will be a free agent. He may very well go back, but geez,
Yes.
I mean, we did not say he's gone. Suck it, Braves fans.
Right.
That's not this show. Come on, bro.
Yeah, but it's definitely a possibility. And if you're him, you're going to use that leverage to get a bigger contract, and that's just the way the business goes. I'm sure he wants to stay too. I mean, he's been there his whole career.
Yeah, that's his place.
Yeah.
People trick or treat as him, and he stops them and says, "Hey, you're me." And the kid was like, "Huh? Have you guys seen this video? The trick or treat video with Freddy Freeman? He's walking through a neighborhood with his little kid,
No.
and they pass a kid dressed like him in a Braves uniform, and he's like, "Hey, I like your costume. That's me." And the kid was like, "Huh?" And he goes, "You're me." And the kid's like, "Huh?" And he was like, "Would you like a photo?" And the kid was like, "Uh-huh."
Oh, we got to find that during the break there, man. We got to find that, tweet that out
The
for
kid
Blaine
is dressed
Mickey.
like him
I want
and
to see that.
sees him on the street. And he's like 6'5", Freddie Freeman, so he's just towering above this kid. I love that dude, though. I watched hundreds of Braves games with my dad. We got basic cable in the middle of the 80s, and the Braves were on TV, and we loved baseball. My dad was a big Chris Chambliss fan who had played on a couple of those Yankees World Series teams, 77 and 78. Then he signed with the Braves and played there forever, like 80 to 87. My dad loved Chris Chambliss. We watched all those Dale Murphy and Bob Horner. I've watched hundreds of Braves games on TV. The Cardinals are my team.
But the Cardinals are your team. But before you move on, though, they had a player just like Freeman in Pujols who was in the same situation. Kind of explain that.
Yeah. We talked about this a little bit off the top of the show. He had 2,000 hits in a Cardinals uniform, had just won his second World Series, and the Angels offered him what, 200 and
No, they said the same thing. This could be his last hit in a Cardinals uniform, and I'm sure people got outraged.
Cardinal fans were outraged.
It was his last.
It was his last game in the Cardinals uniform because he went and made what, $250 million from the Angels. Yeah. So, and that dude still wants to keep playing. The Cardinals should have brought him back, let him have his farewell tour this year. Didn't happen. Doesn't always end the way you want it.
Productive.
I will say this to Braves fans: it's been since '95. Just drink it in, enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about who's going to be there tomorrow. It's done. The hay is in the barn. Champions.
I hope he's back, though. I really do.
I do, too. I don't want him to ever play for anybody. It'd be cool if he finished his career as a Brave. So middays with Lucas. Chill out, man. We're not trying to sell your guy off.
Oh, that's another.
Lucas has his own fan. Literally.
That's him.
I have many burner accounts. That's not one of them.
Yeah, that's his burner account.
By the way, people with burner accounts, don't tweet the same thing 6 times from different accounts.
Oh, that
Somebody tweeted me something the other day, and then I got the same tweet 6 times from different accounts. So monitor your burners more carefully, people. Monitor your. By the way, Adrian Peterson is a Titan. He practiced today. He's wearing number 8.
Well, that should be the poll question. Should we call him All Day or AP?
Okay, we'll put that out. At Blaine Mickey, is he All Day or AP? We got to figure this out. There's lots to work
I think
through.
All Day is gone. I think he's AP now.
Well, he's like a half a day now because he's going to get like 10 carries. John Brice is next. Bye.
You know him as the voice of the Titans.
Touchdown, Titans! Derrick Henry.
Some just call him the Vaught.
Sacked! Did he go? Autry.
And you get to hear Mike Keith call every Titans game.
Did he get the feet down? Yes, he did. Julio, touchdown! Titans!
On your flagship for Titans football.
Julio! Wow.
104.5 The Zone.
So think it is for some people, just because you're replacing the team MVP. You know, Derrick Henry's the best player on the team. So some people just say, well, if you lose your best player, then gosh, you must be in a heap of trouble. Atlanta Braves lost their best player. They're having a parade.
Yeah.
They drank champagne
one of the best
last
players
night.
in the Major League Baseball, not just their best player. Yeah, and they still put it together with, by committee.
Sure did.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think that's this philosophy. It's other ways to skin a cat when you have your elite players, and everybody else is going to play up to their potential. They got to pick their game up, and even the staff will do some things differently. You won't change what you do, but how you go about it. Because he was a cyborg from outer space.
Yes, he was.
That's what Henry was. So you have to do it by committee. You can't just up and change your whole offense and all of a sudden, we're going to just throw it around the yard and we don't have a running back. Nah. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. So, yeah, I think they're doing absolutely the right thing. And then they keep their identity and physicality and running the football and play action pass with Tannehill. Because if you put too much on Tannehill, then now you're asking for a Carson Wentz type performance.
Yeah.
Where he's pressing, trying to be hero ball. You don't want him to. You want to keep him in his role and say, hey, we just need you to be a little more efficient. May have to throw a little bit more, which I like to see anyway. And then he's in his comfort zone. So, I don't see any panic at all. Actually, I think this is going to be an interesting game because it may be an advantage to the Titans, and I hate to say it that way, is that now they're not relying on one piece. It's multiple pieces. Well, guess what? That means the teams now have to prepare for multiple pieces. Mm-hmm. And in this first game versus the Rams, they don't actually know how they will be implemented within this offense quite yet. So it could be a helpful thing here early, and once people get 3 or 4 games in to see how you implement it, whether you win, lose, or draw. So I think that's going to help them more than people think.
That's 10 years of NFL defense talking right there, too. That's 10 years
I'm looking at it from a defensive perspective,
no
doubt.
It's 10 years of experience talking. That's not just some dude.
They may not go 8 men in the box. Guess what? All of a sudden, the run game looks really good. It looks a lot easier. No 8 men in the box? Oh, well, those guys are capable.
Yeah.
All day AP.
Yeah.
Hey, Dante. and McNichols.
Yep.
They're more than capable.
All NFL players for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get John Brice in here. John, have you? I hate to think of what your night was last night with the celebration of a Braves victory. How are you feeling?
You were conflicted, weren't you? You're thinking about Freeman leaving, right?
Man. I feel great. I told Lucas I needed to ice down my shoulder from doing the chop so much, but no, it was a muted celebration. Unfortunately, my wife is in Boston right now, traveling for Notre Dame, and so I just watched the game solo at home, and then poured myself mainly to make Brad Lampley jealous. Poured myself a little Pappy Van Winkle 15-year, one single pour to celebrate the win, and that was it. So I do have a Cuban that I will hold off for this weekend and also partake of that as well.
Yeah, I think first World Series since '95. That's worth at least a 15-year-old pour, I think.
Yeah, it was absolutely worth the pour, and I savored every sip of it. And I was actually at Game 5 on Sunday. I drove down by myself, and it was a crazy adventure. I didn't even have ticket on my way down, and found out at Chattanooga a friend of mine who knows one of the umpires was able to secure a ticket for me, and so I got in and had really hoped to see it clinch so I could FaceTime my dad and share it with him. But hey, they won it last night. Never would have imagined it, and it's a phenomenal time to be a Braves fan.
Absolutely.
Hey, boy, your connections to the umpire, man. All connections are good connections, right?
Yeah, I know. I had to drop that in there, because, again, I'm doing my best Brad Lampley torment session today. So, anyway.
This wasn't the ump who didn't see the pitcher drag his good foot, the one that didn't get stepped on across first base and missed that call, did he?
Yeah, right.
Man, I don't understand how that did not get challenged. Are you kidding me right now?
What the heck?
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That was you got to challenge that. Like, man, I still – it worked out. Fried, honestly, it looked like it just pissed Max Fried off, and
sure
he pitched
did.
better after that. But I was here by myself screaming into the void. How do you not challenge that? So.
Yeah, all 145 pounds of him soaking wet looked really mad after that. At John D. Brice, we had to talk a little Braves to get started here with him, but he is with Football Scoop covering all things college football.
And on the football note, what was your reaction on the, I guess, the college football playoff ranking or committee ranking? How did you see it, man? Because, man, some people are livid today about this.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised by the rankings. I'll be honest with you. I'm happy to see Michigan State up there where the Spartans landed, and don't really have any complaints about the top four. Although the kind of the way I look at it, and I had some folks complaining to me, some other media guys, some other friends and fans of different programs, and they were complaining about Alabama specifically being the number 2. And I said, that's fine. Like, let's look at it. Would you take Alabama or Michigan State head to head? You would take Alabama. Would you take Alabama or Oregon head to head? It's Alabama. It's almost Alabama unanimous all the way down through there. Now, I would probably consider right now Alabama and Ohio State a coin flip. So I completely understand why those teams are where they are. But yeah, I'm shocked. I feel bad for Cincinnati. It's got not just the Notre Dame win, but it's got the UCF win, which I think is a very quality win as well. Obviously, the Bearcats are hurt by SMU losing last weekend. But, yeah, what I wrote was that the rankings matched this season of college football, and that summed up in one word is chaos.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, to add to that, now I believe they're saying a statement here. I don't know. You tell me that the path for the playoff for Cincinnati is just denied here. There's no possible way. Do you see it differently?
Well, there's too much season left to say that it's completely denied or no shot whatsoever. The Bearcats have to keep taking care of their own business every week. If they don't win out, then the argument becomes moot. But I do still think there's a lot of football left, and that Cincinnati could find a pathway to that number 4 ranking. It's unlikely, but it still exists because, again, we've seen so many chaotic upsets this year. How many times have we seen an FCS team beat an FBS team? We saw it right there in Nashville. So my point is that there's still a lot of football left. There's still so many upsets that could happen. None of us expected Texas A&M to beat Alabama and beat Alabama the way that it did, kind of controlling that game. So I still think it's too early to rule out the Bearcats, but certainly the path in front of them is not overly optimistic.
What do you think the playoff committee, I guess, values the most in their criteria of making these decisions? Give me a couple of them anyway.
Yeah, I think they've factored heavily on head-to-head, which is why we saw Oregon still slide a spot ahead of Ohio State, especially with Oregon getting that win on the road, even though Ohio State's probably been more impressive since that time. So I think head-to-head is huge, and I think Power 5 victories is huge. I think that's why Notre Dame, which has not looked overly powerful in a great number of its games, nonetheless, I think has 6 Power 5 wins already this season, which is up there among the most of anybody in the country. And so I think it's schedule, particularly Power 5 schedule, and I think it's head-to-head matchups.
Do you think UTSA should be in maybe like the 23-4-5 range?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do. I think UTSA has earned it. I think Jeff Traylor has done an absolutely phenomenal job. The fact that we saw UTSA pony up nearly $30 million in terms of a contract extension last week to try and lock down Jeff Traylor sends a massive signal of what he's doing, and the fact is taking note of it. They don't issue that extension if he's not a legitimate candidate at a couple of Texas spots that have already fired their coaches in terms of Texas Tech and now Texas Christian, TCU. So, yeah, I think UTSA should be in there. I would have probably had Cincinnati, for now anyway, ahead of an Ohio State and arguably ahead of an Oregon. And then you've got Oklahoma and Wake Forest as well. Now, Oklahoma is playing its best ball of the season of late, and it still has a number of Power 5 wins, even if, like Notre Dame, there have been a number of ugly wins in that collection. So it's generating a lot of discussion, which I think is good. I think this is a year where you can make a strong case for an expanded playoff field, much more so than some of the other recent years. I do think that this is a year that makes you want an expanded playoff in college football.
Well, that's next. One with John Brice with Football Scoop. I guess one more for me, and that is Mel Tucker is having great success at Michigan State, and a lot of people think they should be even higher. What is it going to take to keep him there? He may move again, right? They got to pony up.
I mean, look, he's. I was talking about this with somebody just the other day. I think you've got to look at Mel Tucker. I think you've got to look at Dave Clawson, Jeff Traylor. Those are my immediate three Coach of the Year candidates right now, and Mel Tucker would probably be my number one for what he's done and how quickly he's done it. And yeah, it's a Power 5 program that he has quickly revived, but it's a Power 5 program that was in really terrible shape when he got there. And he's brought his, I think, SEC expertise into the fold at Michigan State, and that's why they're soaring up there. I think Mel Tucker is absolutely a very legitimate LSU candidate, and I think that obviously LSU is a better job than Michigan State, and that's a situation that's bearing watching itself. There's some coaches out there making themselves a lot of money right now, whether they stay where they are or they opt to move. And I'll say this, we've already seen a tremendous amount of movement on the coaching carousel, and football coaches and industry people that I trust and that are really savvy insist this is going to be really one of the biggest coaching carousels in recent memory.
Well, with John Brice with Football Scoop.
Brice, is Dan Mullen going to be on this carousel anywhere? Because that dude just had a really bad week.
He did have a really bad week, and, are they done losing? I don't know. I can't answer that. They're beaten and banged up. They've not gotten good play at the quarterback position. They've certainly not gotten consistent play. I know Dan Mullen spoke to the Orlando Sentinel and said he had the full backing of Scott Strickland, his AD, and the rest of the Florida administration. But it's been weird. It's been sort of a tattered or frayed relationship in some regards, going all the way back to last season. There were all the instances of Dan Mullen being linked to NFL jobs, whether he was going to interview or not, whether he wanted to interview or not. And then they had the 3 losses to finish last season, including the blowout loss to Oklahoma in the bowl game, where it just didn't look like a healthy program that transferred over into this season. They had a number of assistant coaching staff changes, but they didn't change defensive coordinator Todd Grantham, and that continues to be a major source of concern and frustration for Florida and for the Gator fan base. So that's a situation that merits continued watching. If Florida is 8-4, 9-3, or whatever, then no, I don't think there's any issue there. But if Florida continues to stumble down the stretch, then yeah, I think that Dan Mullen's hot seat will be very real at that time.
John Brice, our guest from Football Scoop. Middle Tennessee and Western are ending up in the MAC now after just, we knew that expansion would continue to trickle downhill further and further, and it has trickled these two teams into Blaine's beloved MAC conference. Just kind of curious to get your thoughts on this. I actually asked on my own Twitter, just, hey, Middle and Western fans, because we have a lot of them around here in Middle Tennessee. What do you think about this? And the prevailing sentiment, Brice, for most of them was, hey, man, for what was left, this was the best case scenario.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. And we've talked about it every time I think you and I, the three of us, have visited this fall. It's been about the big dominoes is we're going to continue cascading the smaller dominoes, and you do have to find your best placement. And I do believe that MTSU especially, but both those schools and programs are very attractive. I mean, MTSU's proximity to the Nashville media market, the size of its alumni base, the passion of both those places' fans make them attractive, in my opinion. So I think that those two programs did the best they could in salvaging a very difficult situation. And that's the way I would phrase it and term it very much. It's salvaging what was able to be salvaged from what's left out there.
Our buddy John Brice, our guest, talking all things college football here on Blaine and Mickey. He is with Football Scoop. You need to follow them.
JB, man, I might have missed it, but, man, were you surprised with Clay Helton going to Georgia Southern?
I was initially surprised. We discussed this on a recent Football Scoop podcast, but I started hearing about this and wrote about this yesterday. October 25th is when I started really getting firm indications that the Clay Helton discussions with Georgia Southern were very real, and that there was some real legitimacy to those. I think Clay is maybe a better fit in the South. He's certainly a really, really classy coach who does things, I think, the right way, and just never could get fully supported at Southern Cal, and also didn't win the games that he needed to win consistently enough to have full support at Southern Cal. But look, he's a Gainesville native. He played a couple of years at Auburn before he finished at Houston. Georgia Southern's AD had Power 5 ties from his days in the SEC as an assistant athletics director. I think he wanted Power 5 experience. It was really important to him to sort of move Georgia Southern forward into modern football. And you still had a firm faction of the Georgia Southern fan base and alumni base that wanted to see them continue in the triple option. And that's why you saw the Kennesaw State coach, Bohannon, be consistently mentioned as a candidate, as well as the offensive coordinator at Army, Coach Davis. And so for those reasons, you sort of had a little bit of a tug of war. But the Georgia Southern athletics director, Binko, was very bent on bringing Georgia Southern into modern football and making things more exciting and generating a different kind of buzz around that program. So I wasn't particularly excited or surprised with all of that once I did some research on it and started digging into that situation really about 10 days ago.
One more job question, and that is for TCU and Gary Patterson, I guess, resigning or being let go, however you want to look at it. And was that shocking, as well as who's on the list for the job?
The two things that were shocking about it was that it was immediate, and that TCU indicated they gave Patterson the chance to finish out the season, and he said no. Frustration had been growing there. He really had been a victim of his own success, and then also he'd seen his program probably come up on the short end a little bit on the transfer portal, although they've gotten some great players via the transfer portal as well. And then name, image, and likeness, I think that he's had some very candid comments about that earlier this season. So I think those elements all contributed to his departure, but I am surprised it happened mid-season rather than at the end of the season. The guy was the second longest tenured major college football coach in America behind Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, and so that's significant. I also think it's an indicator, again, of what I just referenced a few minutes ago, that this is going to be an absolutely wild cycle, a wild carousel when you think about LSU, USC already being open. Now you add Washington State into the mix over vaccine stuff and everything else. Then you follow up with that with two more Power 5 jobs just in the state of Texas alone, in Texas Tech and Texas Christian last week in a 7-week span. You still had to throw in Georgia Southern, which was among the first in that mix, UConn in that mix. There's so many jobs already out there opening, and there's still going to be others that get opened because of performance factors and others that open because of domino effects. And so it is going to be wild. In terms of candidates at TCU, the AD has said he wants to go offense. I think that makes sense. So you immediately look at Sonny Dykes. I think that there's mutual interest there because SMU did not get picked up in any of the conference expansion or get that chance to go into the Big 12 that many believed that they wanted. And so I think that Sonny will look long and hard at TCU. It sounded like they want a proven head coach. If not for that, or if they expand a little bit more, I would say Jeff Lebby and Kendall Briles, a pair of the best offensive coordinators in the SEC, could be candidates at TCU as well.
Brice, on the way out, we got like 20, 30 seconds here. Is there anything new with Brian Harsin and his vaccination stuff?
You know, that there's not anything new. That's December 8th is when that deadline is, but that's a situation that a lot of people are monitoring it. He was not asked about it today on the SEC conference call. I thought he might be, but there's nothing new there yet. It's still kind of a stalemate at this point.
Real quick, I know you're not in the recruiting game, but have you heard any news or whispers about maybe some potential schools for Harrison Bailey in Tennessee?
I have not really checked into that yet. I know that there's a lot of talk that he'll try to find a pass-happy kind of West Coast offensive style system, and so that's where I would look in terms of where can he go and find the quick passing game that can enhance and showcase his strengths.
Good stuff.
Thank you, Brice. Always great catching up with you. Congrats again, and to all Braves fans of Braves Nation on the World Series championship.
Chop on, chop on, chop on.
At John D. Brice, one in
Appreciate it,
Football
JB.
Scoop as well. Blaine and Mickey will be right back.
J. Martin Ramon.
Oh, man, we appreciate you, brother. Keep on rolling.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
Indeed. That's oh, Lord. I just sniped him. Ola, did you snipe him? Ola, you're back. Say what you were saying there at the end. I'm sorry.
Man, I wanted to say tighten up, man.
There you go.
Tomorrow from 6 to 10 on 104.5 The Zone.
All right, you got to mark your calendar for now. Let's synchronize. stepped on. They didn't appeal an obvious out. Then he pitches his way out of a jam. And as you said,
And he just waylaid everybody.
he got PO'd at that point. Like, oh.
I had never seen him that intense.
Okay.
He was like, ah. After I was like, whoa, man, watch out now. You may get a cramp in your neck or something. You're kind of thin.
That dude is so thin.
Like, wow, that was great, man. That was awesome, man. After showing how his ankle got stepped on, and then the guy didn't even tag the base. They didn't challenge it, but he was lights out. Then Soler and Freeman and Dansby and everybody else. It was night time for their fans in Houston.
Well, as you said, too.
They got quiet quick. It was silent. You could hear a pin drop.
Back into that game, they had a couple moments where they kind of got up and cheered. Looked like one might go out here or there. Other than that, not a peep.
Yeah.
And it got loud with Braves fans.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
They were doing the chant.
Oh, it got loud with
I
Braves
was like,
fans.
whoa, you can hear this through the TV.
And at the end, when they were doing their celebration and all the Braves fans came forward, it's like, well, look at this. There was a whole section of them that all squeezed together there at the end. They had a real nice celebration with a bunch of their fans.
Man,
So that doesn't just happen in football. It happened in the World Series. Braves fans infiltrated Minute Maid Park.
That was good to see. They were expecting to win. Man, they closed it out. They said, I want to be there. We closing it out.
Hey, man. Hey, tip of the cap to all of them who got in to see that. I've never been to – I've been to a playoff game. I've never been to a World Series game. Never been to a World Series game.
I have not.
Maybe someday. But, tip of the cap to everybody who got to do that last night. People are calling about all kinds of different things. Let's hit the Mark Spain
Let's hit them up, man.
real estate hotline again. We got Doug who wants to talk a little Titans. Doug, welcome into Blaine and Mickey.
What's going on, Doug?
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. I know we've recently picked up AD or All Day or whatever we want to call him. I think I need to be worried about his BPU. His
Right, exactly. That's me too.
So the thing is, we know he's lost a step, and we know that was not the high point of Derrick Henry. We're going to be throwing the ball more. I think we need to be concentrating on seeing or knowing just how good can Adrian Peterson pick up the blitz. What can he bring to the table? It's more than just running the ball and being aggressive. If we're going to be throwing the ball, we got to protect Tannehill. We've seen how he looks when he gets knocked on his backside. If you pick up the blitz, that's a plus in the package of Adrian Peterson, along with his durability. So I just wonder what Blaine thinks, when he was at Washington, at Detroit, how was Adrian? Because I really don't know. I just need to see somebody's professional opinion because there's more than just running the ball. We need to protect the quarterback.
Well, I definitely agree with that, protecting the quarterback. But it wasn't like we used the King in more protection type, stuff too. And I don't even know if they're going to – maybe they throw a little bit more. I still think they're going to platoon with Dante Foreman as well as AP all day. And he looked actually pretty good last year. I watched about 2 games of him last year at Detroit, and he looked like he was really strong. Actually, I liked his cutting ability a little bit than I expected at this point of his career. And, naturally, he's lost some speed, some breakaway speed, so there won't be anybody replacing Derrick Henry as far as that. But his running style and physicality is still there. And then now we're asking him to do this with, platooning, you would think, with someone else. So I think we catch him at a good spot, and he's still motivated. He's wearing number 8, too. That was kind of surprising,
We
too.
wondered
So
maybe he'd pick a single digit.
I really like what they did here because you're still sticking with your style that you have implemented. You're not changing your offense. You may be adjusting, but you're not changing. And that's really hard to do anyway. But, teams have done it. We saw Kentucky do it, last year or 2 years ago when they changed their offense and they started running the football and put their receiver at quarterback. So that you can do it. It's just that, you want to kind of stick to what your identity and your style of offense is and not get too far-fetched. And you don't want to ask Tannehill to throw it around a yard, and that's not what he does all the time. You may get away with that maybe a game or two, but you still want to ride with what you like doing, and that's play action pass and running the football.
Squeeze in Chris right quick. Hey, Chris, give us about 30 seconds, man. Thank you for calling.
Hey, guys. Mickey, I know you're a Cardinal fan, so baseball obviously comes nature there. But, yes, last night you guys were talking about that being an out and appeal. But according to the guys on MLB this morning, you cannot block first base. So they could have appealed that, but they would have probably lost because his foot was in front of the bag, and they might have said that was him trying to impede the runner to get to first base. That's the only bag you cannot block the front of.
Well, there you go.
Mm.
His ankle was flat on the ground. He was so flexible, that dude. He stuck his leg out, and he got his leg. I think
that's flexibility also more so in his upper leg and knee to the actual ankle.
Yeah.
Because it went with the flow, man. I would have probably broke my fibula.
There's no telling.
Fibula.
If it had, and the fact that it was flat too, there was nothing to press it up against or no way to leverage it.
Man,
It was flat on the ground. The guy stepped on it flat, and he went right between his spikes, it looked like. So it didn't do the thing where it ripped into him.
He did not have on spikes. He had on rubber bottoms. And that was the difference because I checked. Yeah, and I was like, there's no way if he had on spikes. I was like, man, this guy's
Superhuman.
He's tough.
Yeah.
And I was like, they kept showing a replay.
Rubber spikes.
And I was like, he had the more rubber bottom. They still were hard now, don't get me wrong. But it's not like spikes. I think I'm right on that. If I'm wrong, please check me on that. But that's what I thought I saw. So, yeah. But that was pretty impressive there.
All right, people are still calling. We'll take more phone calls as we start the next segment. There's a lot going on in the sports world. There is a lot going on, and we will get to all of it when we come back. Also, Jordan Dajani will join us with all NFL headlines coming up at around 2:20. It's Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
The Titans have a big test on the national stage Sunday night against the Rams. Kickoff is Sunday night at 7:20 on your flagship for Titans Radio, 104.5 The Zone.
really the hometown baseball team for Nashville until there is a hometown baseball team for Nashville. The Atlanta Braves are your world champions of the world.
Yeah. Well, Dansby Swanson, he's not hometown, but he did play for Vandy. He is actually playing for his hometown, but he's from Marietta.
What a great story that dude is.
Yeah. Wow. What a great time for Braves fans and all who watched the game last night with Freed, just controlling the whole entire game after he got his leg stepped on. Because he did start off a little rough there. So I thought it was going to go back to the time when he started the first time in the World Series. Pulled himself together, and, man, he was lights out. Then he got help from Soler and Dansby and Freeman.
Freeman,
so,
yeah.
So, man, it was quiet as a church mouse there in Houston. Crowd was a non-factor.
They took him out of it, man.
Early, too.
Took him out of
it. So that was, man, got to be pumped up. Since when? 1995?
1995. And Atlanta sports fans had to sit through that debacle in the Super Bowl a few years ago where 28-3.
Oh, yeah, I was at that. Yeah, people were saying, oh, it's over. I said, oh, no, it's never over. Not when you got that other guy
Freddy
over there.
Krueger over there, Tom Brady.
you
can't
got
kill him.
It's never over. Never say never.
Just run the dang ball, too, Falcons. Run the ball 5 times more. Run it 3 times more in a second. Just run the ball. You outsmarted yourself. What are you doing? Well, the Titans fans are thinking, gosh, that Jets lost. Well, that was the story before Derrick Henry, of course. Think about Atlanta sports fans. You've been sitting on that loss in the Super Bowl. This will cleanse a lot of that away, though. You'll have a parade. You're going to skip school or work. Like, you're going to be okay.
They won the soccer championship, too, right?
They did a couple years ago.
Didn't they? 2 times.
Yeah,
they filled up back-to-back? Oh, 2 years ago.
Filled up the football stadium with soccer fans.
Soccer experts back there.
Yeah, Lucas and I were actually talking about this the other day. They had been kind of the blueprint for expansion teams, right? I mean, they did it right. They won early. They filled up the football stadium, and they were doing everything right down there.
Oh, yeah, they killed it. Made some critical signings that are now playing in Europe that helped into that championship season. LAFC kind of followed suit, and now Nashville SC is doing something similar. They didn't go the route of signing kind of the star power that Atlanta United did, but Nashville SC now, about to host a playoff game in year 2. They did qualify for the playoffs in year 1. So right now, Nashville SC might have that best 2 years to start for an expansion team ever with the consistency that they're putting together.
Well, and we talked about this forever. Who's going to be the first team in Nashville to win a championship? Because our friends down in Atlanta, and that's technically, like I said, our home baseball team. I know there's some Cardinal fans like me and some Cub fans, but for the most part, everybody here. There's a few Reds fans. A lot of people are Braves fans. I think it's fair to say that's the majority of baseball fans here, not even close. Who's going to win the first one here? I mean, who's going to win the first one? We thought it was the Predators for a while. We thought it was going to be the Titans for a long time. And the Predators got good. They had their run. They got all the way to play Pittsburgh, and a bunch of guys broke their leg and got compartment syndrome and all these horrible, terrible things. And dang, Sidney Crosby throwing water bottles on the ice and like, oh, sorry, dog, my bad. Okay, Sid, whatever you say. Dribble PK Subban's head like a basketball on the ice. Oh, sorry, my hand slipped. No problem there. I'm still mad about that, as you can tell.
Yeah,
but let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
That was a glimpse of H-Town Mickey right there.
Oh, H-Town.
That was a glimpse.
H-Town left that series against the Pittsburgh Penguins as fired up as H-Town has ever been. It's like, okay, Sidney, do whatever you want, dog. It's all good. Throw a water bottle on the ice. Dribble PK's head. That's fine. So anyway, they lose that.
He's a superstar, so they let him get away with it.
He was and is and he did. All that is very true. So here we are with the Titans. Now, Derrick Henry is hurt. The King is on the sidelines right now. They get Adrian Peterson. Literally, he practiced today. He's wearing number 8. Deontay Foreman is back. Can they win with this running back by committee? That's the question we're going to see. But Nashville SC, man, made the playoffs last year. As Lucas said, looking like they're going to host a home playoff game this year. Could they be the first team to win a championship?
Oh, that would be crazy.
Would that not be something if it was them?
2 years in.
Yeah, Lucas would be
conference
ecstatic.
semifinals a year ago.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. At some point with them, you thought, there's some kind of weird voodoo magic on this deal. Something is happening down there.
Yeah,
So-
they've just done a really good job of building a foundation, being able to raise their floor as opposed to other expansion teams that look for butts and seats and, some flash when they make their signings. Nashville's been more strategic about it than most, and it's paid off.
Well, that'll be a question we need to ask soon. Who will be the first Could you imagine this?
Well, the Titans aren't out of it yet.
I know.
But the way we're talking about it as though it's over this year, I still think they're going to be a Super Bowl contending team.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Yeah.
We like the guys that and here's the thing. Instead of one guy getting it 32 times a game via run or pass, 3 or 4 guys are going to get it 8 or 9 times a game. I mean, McNichols is going to get his spots, and Foreman's going to get his spots, and Adrian Peterson's going to get his opportunities, and maybe Blaine. As the game goes on, you get in the third and a half quarter or so, one guy looks better than the other guys. You go,
with the hot hand.
Let's give this dude the fourth quarter. Let's see what this rascal can do. Yeah. Is it safe to say, hey, be a little excited about this opportunity? You didn't want it, but you got it. Be excited about what they can do.
Well, I know it's hard for the fans, but the players will be in the locker room. Whenever you put a task in front of an athlete that's a challenge, they're all going to rise. You're going to be like, well, dang. And then you're going to start saying, oh, we okay. You're going to slowly start going down this road as a fan and start saying, we'll be fine. We can hold the fort till the king arrives back healthy. I think they can go on a run, even with all-day AP, trying to figure out what to call him. Maybe I just call him number 8. He's number 8. He's number 8. That's his jersey number.
Driver 8, yeah.
Yeah. What colors are they wearing now? I think they're wearing the navy blue again.
All navy, yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to be
on
an
the
8.
road.
I'd love to hear, why he chose 8. That'll be interesting. Maybe not be any reason behind that at all. Or maybe it's because 2 + 6 is 8. I don't know. Maybe that was his number. That was his number, with the Washington football team. I think so.
Yeah.
So I have no idea. But, hey, we should be elated, and we'll see where this goes and how they implement them. And hopefully this will help the Titans in a different way this first game, for sure. And how do teams now approach the Titans with no king? And all of a sudden, if it's 7 men in the box and we still running downhill, I think that favors the Titans. Doesn't matter who's at the running back. They still got everybody in place on the offensive line, right?
Yeah.
Just may not see the, 60, 80 straight arms and all that. But AP, in a sharp window in a frame, he can be just as dynamic and scary as the king. Mm-hmm. And don't sleep on Foreman either, by the way. I like what I saw in him last season. I'm shocked that he was even available. I don't know. Maybe he was out of shape or something. I have no clue, especially when he was up in Atlanta and he knew the offense.
Right.
I'm like, oh, he's going to make that team. I don't care if he's the third guy.
Well, I was like you. I thought after last year, that dude's just going to come right on back and get right back in the same role again. It didn't happen. They brought in Brian Hill, who had been with the Falcons, who had been like 500-600-yard guy, and now Deontay Foreman. So I was surprised by that.
But you can get a running back, a lot of people think from anywhere, but knows the offense, understands the scheme and everything else. So, yeah, you can get him up to speed real quick, even ahead of AP.
Well,
or AD or number 8.
Yes, all of those things.
That's what we're going to put out on a poll question. What should we call Adrian Peterson?
AP, AD.
All day.
Number 8.
And number 8.
He, I think we both kind of felt the same way. Derrick Henry is the best player on the team. He was an MVP candidate and is when he's healthy. But the rest of the team is still intact. You have other parts and pieces.
I'm going to stop you right here because I should have said this sooner. The year we went on the Super Bowl run, who got injured?
Steve McNair.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who was the best player on our team? Steve
McNair.
McNair. Yeah, he's the quarterback. He was the best player. He ran and threw.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Well, he missed, 6 games? 4 to 6 games? It was something like that at the beginning of the season.
Missed 5. I think Neil O'Donnell went 4-1 that year. Neil O'Donnell. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Right. Neil O'Donnell was not McNair.
Nope.
Guess what the team did? 4-1.
Yep.
Rallied around him and stood up. This is the same thing. Different position. Probably not as important, but some people would say as important because he's the best player on the team. But he doesn't have the ball in his hand every single play.
Nope.
So I kind of, compare it to that.
The other thing,
everybody rose to 4. And we got so where we were comfortable. Let's one more week. Let's go. We don't rush the
him
injury.
back.
Yeah. Just let him, because he came, oh, man, he played. The first half, it was horrible when McNair came out. I said, man, I knew you should have stayed out one more week. Then that second half, he said, no, he walked right by the defense, specifically me, because I'm looking at him like, man, what are you doing? Hey, man, I'm good to go now. Well, what changed? I'm good to go now. And whenever he said that, he has never gone back on that, the late, great McNair. Yeah. Whenever he says something, it happens. So yeah, I would compare it to that.
The other thing too is if you had lost to the Colts, then you have no margin for error in your division. But you beat the Colts. They basically have to finish 4 games ahead of you now. Even if it takes you a little bit to figure this out, you gave yourself some leeway to do it and still win your division.
Well, let's don't make it complex.
Yeah.
You can go 5-4 and still win 11 games.
That's it.
And still get in. See how that 5-4. That doesn't sound good on the surface. I'm sure they'll do better. I'm looking at worst case scenario. You still win 11, so I'm thinking they can still get 10. You got the Texans twice and the Jags. I'm hoping you better beat them, but I'm sure a lot of people say, well, they always play down to the competition.
Yeah.
Well, they better not. They have no leeway now in doing something like that. Not without the King. So, yeah, they got to win those 3 for sure and hopefully win some more.
I was thinking about this, and Lucas is going to tell us we got to take a break. The year the Rams made the Super Bowl, remember Todd Gurley got nicked up, and they brought in that guy C.J. Anderson out of nowhere. Remember how he ran?
He used to be with the Broncos.
Yeah.
He was ran in the same scheme and system. He was like, man, he looked almost as good as Gurley. Well, he wasn't Gurley, but, yeah. He held the fort.
He held the fort. It sure did. All the way to the Super Bowl was still getting carries. And that was basically the end of his career. He only played a little bit more after that, I think, with the Lions or somebody. I was trying to look it up. But that's another time you're like, Todd Gurley was an MVP candidate type player at that point. Where's C.J. Anderson? Like, wait, that guy used to be with the Broncos? He did fine. Had a couple of nice games at the end of the regular season and then ran into the playoffs, held the fort. It's possible. These are all NFL players. Mm-hmm. They're all getting paid to do this job. They're not Derrick Henry, but they have to be about a third of Derrick Henry because there's multiple of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's how you got to approach it. And, I know the fans kind of panic, but sitting in the locker room as athletes, there is no panic at all.
Yeah.
All they worried about is, hey, man, when you going to be back? Get well soon. Keep working. We're going to hold it for us. You've been carrying us. Now we're going to carry you.
We got to carry this break, or Lucas is going to carry us out of here. I got a giveaway. Then we will come back after that. Jordan Dajani is set to join us. But here is the giveaway. 2022 Navy Federal Credit Union Stadium Series coming to Nashville. 104.5 The Zone has your chance to win tickets if you're a caller. 5 now, you got a chance to join the party on February 26th at Nissan Stadium. The Preds hosting the Tampa Bay Lightning outdoors for the ultimate celebration of hockey. It's going to be 70,000 people there rocking. You can be a part of it at Nissan Stadium in February, 615-737-1045. Tickets on sale now. If you want some, go to nhl.com/stadium series tickets.
Derrick Henry suffered a foot injury and is expected to miss 6 to 10 long weeks.
I'm always hopeful if anybody can, I guess, come back, it would be Derrick.
So what does this mean for the rest of the season?
We're going to continue to run the ball with whoever's in there. We're going to run our offense.
And will King Henry be back for the playoffs?
I'm not going to put any expectations on any sort of timeline.
For the very latest, keep it to your flagship for Titans Radio and home for Derrick.
Touchdown! Titans!
104.5 The Zone.
man. There's nothing to talk about in the NFL at all.
To talk about, right? No, it's been a very busy week, a very entertaining week. A lot of stuff to talk about. One of those weeks where you really love your job. So I really appreciate you guys having me on today.
Always.
You're a Braves fan. Let's start that off. Are you a baseball fan of any or team or anything like that? Or did you even watch the game?
So unfortunately, I'm not a huge baseball fan, but when my grandma was alive, she was a huge Braves fan. So the Dajani squad really hopped on the bandwagon with her. She's passed now, but so we were very happy to see the Braves win last night. I definitely watched the World Series. I was definitely rooting for the Braves. So very excited for this area, very excited for all our great friends who are big Braves fans. They really deserve it, especially with all the adversity they had to overcome this season. So it was great to see.
Now, here was my biggest pickup out of that. Did you say Dajani?
Dajani.
Are we killing your name for all this time?
No. And I was scared this was going to come up at some point because I don't even know how to say my name. I think all of my brothers, my sisters.
This is a real Garantano moment here.
Yeah. You're being real serious right now, right?
No, I'm serious, man. My sisters all say it differently. One time I went on a podcast and I said Dajani, and my dad called me like frothing at the mouth, really upset that he didn't say Dajani. So I'm not even sure. I've been on different radio shows where they pronounce it differently. As long as you're saying the J, like not Dajani, we're going to be okay. I think the way it is, and it's Arabic, by the way, I think it's Dajani. So I think that's how I say my name, but I'm not even 100% sure at this point in time.
Well, like I said, this is a real Garantano type moment here. I mean, we've been in this relationship for a minute. All right, Jordan Dajani joins us from CBS Sports. We're literally learning on the fly here. We're adapting. This is a thing that happened today. Adrian Peterson wearing the number 8 practiced as a Tennessee Titan. Life comes at you fast. You beat the Colts in a slobber knocker, and then, 4 days later, Adrian Peterson is on your team.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable, right? And first off, it stinks that Derrick Henry suffered this injury, but thankfully it's not like a broken leg or torn ACL or anything like that. I really do anticipate him returning for a postseason run, hopefully. We'll see how recovery goes. But it's kind of funny because some people who may be, casual viewers of the NFL see the Titans signing Adrian Peterson come through the wire, and they say, what in the world? I didn't know he was still active. Well, let me tell you, I kind of like this signing. I watched him last year with the Detroit Lions. He had spurts where he looked really good, even though he's now 36 years old. I told you guys, I spent some time on the Washington football team beat with 24/7 Sports when I was there, and I was covering some pretty bad teams, but they had Adrian Peterson as their starting running back, and he was the only consistent offensive weapon they had, even though he was 33 years old. In fact, in 2018, he rushed for over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. So this is a guy who doesn't still have that breakaway speed necessarily, but he's someone who has stayed in shape. He's someone who's talented. He's one of the best to ever do it, and he's someone who still wants to be a legitimate starting running back in this league. So I kind of like the signing. It's not a guarantee. He's not going to be Derrick Henry or anything, but you bring in Deonta Foreman as well, and the Titans' run scheme has worked. So I like this signing. I'm excited to see how it works out.
Just as we've always known him, Jordan Dajani joins us now on Blaine Mickey.
Well, just like we were deceived by you and your last name, Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers has deceived us. Oh. Man, what do you make of this whole ordeal with Aaron Rodgers and his deception? Or what did he deceive us? I'm sure the team knew, but we are just now finding out that he was not vaccinated.
Yeah, this is a really wild story, and he was asked earlier this year if he was vaccinated, and he said, yes, I'm immunized, to use that term instead of vaccinated. So, he's being technical with words, but, yeah, he was kind of deceptive. And, of course, the main storyline is not Rodgers not being available for Sunday's matchup against the Chiefs. It's if he was dodging COVID-19 protocols in some way throughout the season. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk brought up photos of him on the sideline in the preseason not wearing a mask, which is against protocol. So the NFL is going to have to look into that and what went on behind the scenes. That's tough for the league because if they do find violations, they will have to punish the Packers to keep the peace in the league for all the other players and coaches who have been trying to abide by these protocols, which surely many view as a nuisance. So I haven't really looked into that. I don't know what other evidence there really is apart from Florio's article. But I think that's really the main storyline in this story is, was Aaron Rodgers following all the protocols for the Packers?
No question. Well, we'll get to see a guy named Love. And he may have wanted this to happen to a certain extent because maybe that increases their need to maybe, you know what, we can do pretty well without you. So we shall see how this story ends, even though he is a great quarterback. Okay, tell us, it wasn't a lot of trades, but who was the winners and losers in the NFL trade market, here at OBJ has to be one of the losers, right?
Oh yeah, the Browns. Honestly, I'd probably put the Browns over OBJ being a loser. I mean, that was one of the most dramatic stories to come out today. It seems like it all came to a head yesterday when the video that Odell Beckham Sr. put out of Baker Mayfield failing to see an open OBJ on the field, failing to hit him on certain routes. I'm sure everyone's seen that video by now. But then we have LeBron James coming out and tweeting about free OBJ and getting him trending. I thought that was very notable because it's not LeBron just chiming in on something random. I mean, this was the NFL trade deadline, and it seems like there was a lot of noise around OBJ's name. But I say all that to say it's interesting because I don't know if the Browns front office, their GM and their head coach knew how displeased Odell Beckham Jr. was in his situation in Cleveland. I feel like if they were totally 100% aware of that, they would have tried to move him yesterday. Now, according to reports, there were some talks. There were teams making offers, and I guess going with protocols of the trade deadline, you're going to field those offers, but it sounds like Cleveland didn't really talk about anything that caught their eye. One of those teams that was reportedly in the running for an Odell Beckham Jr. deal was the New Orleans Saints, which I found very interesting. But, of course, OBJ's contract made him a little difficult to move. So this is a big deal because now it sounds like the front office is in talks with Odell Beckham's camp, trying to get him to stay with the team and finish out the season and hopefully make a playoff run. But we don't know where OBJ is mentally and where he is in terms of being satisfied with his playing time and just with this situation with the Browns. So this is a huge bombshell that was dropped today. The Browns were definitely – that's a long-winded way of me saying the Browns were a loser. I'll give you another winner very quickly. How about Tua Tagovailoa? No Deshaun Watson trade to Miami. He gets to finish out the year as a starting quarterback. And to add on to that, of course, Deshaun Watson trade rumors are going to drift into the offseason, but once we have more clarity around this issue, there's going to be more interested teams than just the Miami Dolphins. So if the Dolphins really wanted to Deshaun, then they kind of missed their best opportunity to get him in my mind. There's still some stuff to figure out, of course, off the field. But how about Tua being a winner of the trade deadline?
Ooh, good one there, man. Wow, we're on with Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
So the injury stuff has been kind of nuts. Jameis Winston gets his leg bent and his knee blown out. We saw Trevor Siemian, who I had no idea that he was even on the Saints. And we were watching that game doing postgame. He actually looked okay. They won the game. They also have Taysom Hill, who had been out. I guess the Titans will see some combination of those guys, but it will be interesting to see what happens with the Saints going forward now losing Jameis.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And, I don't hide it. I'm a big Jameis Winston fan, so I was pretty heartbroken to see what happened on Sunday. The Saints quarterback situation is going to be one to keep an eye on. Trevor Siemian, of course, kind of held down the fort. He didn't look incredible, but, he was a good placeholder. He moved the ball somewhat effectively. He threw an interception that was called back, so he somewhat took care of the ball. And then, of course, the Saints should have Taysom Hill returning to the fold soon. He's missed a few games due to a concussion. So Sean Payton's going to have to make a decision here. We have a 5-2 Saints team without their starting quarterback. Is he going to move Taysom Hill from that versatile trick play quarterback into his legitimate starting signal caller? Is he going to roll forward with Trevor Siemian? Or I'll bring up another guy. What if he hits the market and brings in a veteran by the name of Phillip Rivers? That's going to be an option for him as well. We saw Phillip Rivers talk about earlier this year, after his high school coaching football season was up, he might consider joining a contender if they need him. Well, that situation has now arisen, right? So we'll see if the Saints want to make a move for Phillip Rivers. I don't know. There's been no reports that they're interested in that, and Sean Payton certainly loves his locker room and his quarterback group as well, but that's going to be an option.
I think.
What would add to that, though, would Brice be an option?
I think Drew Brice came out and said that he's probably done. I guess you have to say it's an option because he's familiar with Sean Payton and he's only 1 year removed from football. Yeah. But for whatever reason, I don't see that coming to fruition.
The other thing for Rivers, he's like not too far away from New Orleans, right? I mean, he's he's not too far away from where he is now.
Yep, I would agree with that. It's not far at all. And like I said, the situation has presented itself. So it's kind of up to the Saints. Phillip Rivers, I think, already came out and said, yeah, he would listen to calls. But the Saints now have an opportunity if they want to go that route and really make a run at a wild card and hopefully a couple playoff wins. Then Phillip Rivers is available if they're interested.
The Broncos are 4-4 and traded away Von Miller. Of course, the nightmare on the week after Halloween, the Titans may get to see Von Miller, I guess, if his ankle is okay this week. But they're 4-4 and getting rid of Von Miller. They weren't 0-4, 0-8. That surprised me.
Yeah, it did surprise me as well. But when I looked at what they got in return, it sounds like the Broncos kind of won that deal. Giving up a second-round pick and a third-round pick for a 32-year-old pass rusher, sounds a bit rich to me. But obviously the Rams literally do not care about any of their draft picks, whether that be a first, second, third, fourth, whatever it may be. The Rams are all in. So they went out and tried to bring in a veteran pass rusher they think is going to work. But as for the Broncos, I mean, it is surprising. I didn't think that this was a deal that was going to happen because he's been a pillar of that franchise for so long, with Super Bowl MVP and everything. I was surprised to see that deal happen, but with what they got in return, if I was the Broncos GM, I would have been listening as well.
Jordan Dajani from CBS Sports, our guest on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, one player no one was listening to was Desean Jackson. Do you think he'll find a place after they release him there with the Rams? Because, man, that's his hometown, let alone state that he was playing in, and maybe not getting a lot of playing time, but he's up there in age and, may get away with a Super Bowl ring. Well, he could have potentially. Do you see any, takers here?
Yeah, that was an interesting one. I mean, I'm not shocked that he didn't have any takers at the trade deadline. I'm sure that there's going to be teams that are interested in him, but I would have thought he would have been ring chasing and just kind of stayed and played a minor role in that offense. But in terms of potential landing spots, yes, I do believe he's going to find one, and it could happen today. It could happen this week. I got an eye on the Green Bay Packers. That, of course, is a wide receiving core that Aaron Rodgers always wants upgraded. I look at the Kansas City Chiefs as well. I mean, they signed Josh Gordon, but looking at the Chiefs and the way they operate, they have major deficiencies on the defensive side of the ball, but adding another playmaker, a deep threat, the guy who has some tread left on the tires could be in the mix. And then maybe the Baltimore Ravens, too. If they want Lamar Jackson to continue in his evolution as a passer, this is a legitimate contender in the AFC. That could add some explosiveness to an offensive attack. So I expect a couple of contenders to be hitting up Desean Jackson this week. I do believe he's going to play again this season.
Yeah, I think it'd probably be the Chiefs since Andy Reid has coached him before. But we have the Chiefs versus Green Bay. How do you see this playing out, man? Because I watched the Chiefs versus the Giants, and, I just don't see him turning the corner. Maybe I'm missing the boat here.
Yeah, that was a win that didn't really feel like a win, right? I'm sure Chiefs fans, even Patrick Mahomes, are not very excited with what they were able to accomplish against the Giants. Yeah, they got back to 500, but you can't say that they got back on track. This was going to be a game I thought Aaron Rodgers was really going to roll, but of course now he's not playing. It's going to be Jordan Love. But if you're a gambling man, wait for that spread to start moving up and then maybe put some money on the Packers to cover. I think that Jordan Love can find some kind of level of success, even if it's his first official start against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. So even though Aaron Rodgers is not going to be playing, I'm kind of excited to watch this game to see what Jordan Love is capable of. And also, this is a Packers team that's faced adversity before. Just look at what happened last week, and they were still able to rebound to win. Who knows what could happen? But this is definitely a juncture for the Chiefs. It's at home, of course, where they can come out and try to really get back on track because they haven't been able to do that thus far. Keep an eye on how they game plan defensively for a rookie quarterback. Keep an eye to see what Patrick Mahomes does differently in the pocket. Like I said, the Chiefs are not a team that is back on track just yet, but here's another opportunity for them to do so.
Man, well, with Aaron Rodgers out with COVID and my man Murray there at Arizona, a little banged up with the ankle, man, who are your top three at MVP right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess I can't have Derrick Henry in there any longer as well. Yeah, man, I guess Kyler Murray would still be a front runner. He's obviously injured right now. I mean, I think that he will suit up, but I've said that before about Dak Prescott last week, and that didn't come to fruition. Another guy to keep an eye on is probably Josh Allen with the Bills. They didn't have a great showing against the Dolphins on Sunday, but I think that they could really roll this week. I think they played Jacksonville, so Josh Allen's going to be up there. Lamar Jackson suffered a big loss to Cincy, but he had a bye week to kind of come together with the offense. I expect him to be in that top three as well. And, there's another guy that I'm very high on, and that's Matthew Stafford of the Los Angeles Rams. And he could have an opportunity for a big game against the depleted Titans secondary. We'll see how that Titans team holds up without, one of their veteran leaders, Derrick Henry. So keep an eye on Matthew Stafford as well.
Well, you just helped me out. How do you think this game is going to play out with the Rams and the Titans with the no king?
Yeah, I'm not very optimistic. I feel like after 3 really emotional victories for the Titans, this seems like kind of a letdown spot. I was scared that letdown spot was against the Colts, but once again, this team's resilience was on full display, and I think that's why I like this Titans team so much is that, they're able to overcome so many deficiencies, whether it's because of injury or just lack of talent at one spot, to play as a cohesive unit. That's why I really like this Titans team. So you can never count them out, but obviously they're going to have to shift how they work their offense without Derrick Henry there. That's what I'm really keeping an eye on. Now, Tennessee is not going to abandon the run. That's just not going to happen. So we'll see if they can really set up the play action with the running backs they have. They're going to have to lean more on Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. Keep an eye on Anthony Ferguson as well at the tight end spot. That's really my biggest thing I'm looking for. I think the Titans probably lose this game, but I want to see if the offense can really hold up without King Henry.
We're on with the NFL writer from CBS Sports, Jordan Dajani.
There you go.
Just as we've always called him, Jordan Dajani, our weekly guest. Jordan, hey, man, thanks so much. People can follow you on Twitter at Jordan Dajani and then anywhere at CBS Sports where they want to consume that. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you next week.
I blame Luke.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Jordan. All right, when we come back, Scott from Bethpage has been holding. He wants to talk Titans. We'll talk Titans with him. Also, what did Mike Vrabel say today about getting a running back up to speed in an NFL offense? We got that for you, too. It's all coming up next. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
The Titans make their first trip to SoFi Stadium for a Sunday night game against the LA Rams. Coverage from Los Angeles starts Sunday afternoon at 4 with Buck Rising and kickoff with Titans Radio at 7:20 on your home for Titans football. 104.5 The Zone.
How many nasty waiting rooms have you walked into while waiting on your vehicle repair? It's like you don't want to sit down or touch anything because there's grease all over the place. Well, at Eurofix, you'll find luxurious waiting rooms with all the internet connectivity and refreshments you need in a safe environment. And Eurofix fixes everything European with an ASE certified technician. And not all repair shops have ASE certified tech, so you better watch out and make sure you get an ASE certified tech working on your
backup quarterback in the draft. I mean, we're drafting players that are horizontal and not upright. We're drafting injured players. We need to be drafting players that are upright and that can fill important positions when something like this happens. I think it's Tannehill's shaky right now. I mean, he looks like he's not injured or hurt, but he looks worn. And those are just my thoughts. And Blaine, I kind of want to hear your feedback on it as well as yours, Mickey. But as a pro player, what are your thoughts on that? Because I think our general manager is great at drafting in the second round. He's like the magic man. But when it comes to these first-round draft picks that are injured before they even get here, I've got a real problem with that. Thanks, guys.
Scott, thank you for the call.
Yeah, we'll kind of go through the history. With Farley and then Panda was kind of a outside-the-box deal, really. So I don't know if you can plan on that one. We got Dodd is the only other one. I'm trying to think who else was. And then I guess Radens is part of this. But he's seemed to be getting better the more playing time he gets at guard. Seems like he could potentially be a guard. Maybe next season, just depends on what direction they want to go with the offensive line.
Yeah, you may see some more Radens this week. I wanted to find this from John Glennon, not spotted during the open portion of practice. Maben, which yikes. Chris Jackson, yikes. Blasting Game, Rashawn Evans, and Nate Davis.
Yeah,
so that's to start the season. Returning to practice, Julio Jones, that's huge. Tier Tart, that's good. He's playing well. And Kendall Lamb was also Adrian Peterson's first practice. We got a couple minutes left. We will hear from Mike Vrabel. You saw Adrian Peterson doing just some little bit of stretching stuff, but some stuff caught your eye there. Want to get Dr. Blaine Bishop's assessment.
Right. Well, he's not doing too much. Well, so let's add also Maben is on there, and the reason why, because remember I said he didn't finish the Colts game, and I was like, where did he go? I didn't know if they just took him out or what have you. And we're playing the Rams, and they do throw the football.
Cooper
so
Kupp.
All made up, so I don't know where we're at with Fulton's not on this list, so I don't think he even was out there. That's my assumption. I could be totally wrong. So I'm looking at what Buck tweeted out, who was out there and who wasn't. Just some basic principles when you're out there seeing them doing stretch and the walkthrough portion of that. Adrian Peterson looks like he's very flexible and in tune with his body. When I say that, you got this one stretch that kind of you can see a little bit of everything in the flexibility. And to be a guy that's 36, it's called I give it the term scoop. You walk and then you put your one heel out in front of you and turn it up off the ground, and then you scoop the ground and you touch the ground. Well, he looked like he could do that with ease from Ben. If I try to do it right now, I'm probably getting halfway down.
Something's going to get hurt.
Yeah, I'm bending my knees to do it. I don't even right now. I'm not stretching for sure, but not trying to play in a game. But just off the cuff, coming off the couch, that means he was putting in work, not only in the weight room, but also in the flexibility work, which is vital to having success when you're getting hit from all different kind of angles as a running back, and you have pliability, as what Tom Brady would say, to take on those hits. It looks like he's kind of reforming how his body can can move in different directions, even when caught off guard. So I kind of like what I saw there.
And let's end with this. We got about a minute left. Mike Vrabel today talking about the adjustment period and what it's like for a running back in the NFL. This is what Mike Vrabel said about that.
Well, Dontrell did that last week. He came in, met with Tony. I mentioned that. You just have to put extra meetings in, pay attention and focus. And, I think for some positions, there's probably less learning. I think it's not like it's an offensive line where there's a lot of stuff, or a receiver where now, there's a lot of vocabulary that changes and formations are called something different. So hopefully we can get these guys brought up to speed quickly.
Yeah, when I hear that, I hear him saying, these dudes about to play. They're going to get their share of the carries on Sunday.
Yeah, as long as no major gasps out there, I think, in this learning process, make sure you get some of the checks and changes of maybe if he checks out of a run and now you're blocking, to make sure you know where to go to pick up your blitz